Welcome to episode 4
of Naughty Fun Learning Time with Paul Mackinnon, current physical education lead for Anglophone School District North, aka Uncle Paulie.
Here's our knots from episode 1 and 2, the overhand knot, fisherman's knot, double fisherman's, and the fisherman's eye. Dropping down here, there's the Lariat Loop. And where I plan to go today, starting off with the running knot, the daisy chain, and the trucker's hitch. Mailbag segment. Ooh, looks like we got some mail. Anonymous. Uncle Paulie. Alright, what do we have? Fan mail. Dear Uncle Paulie, less talk, more knots. Sincerely, the internet. Okay, that's not subtle.
We're going to go ahead and look at the running loop. To achieve a running loop, we're basically going to start to tie an overhand. However, rather than continue working with the working end, you're going to pull out a bite out of the standing part. So essentially, I'm going to cross over the top, and then I'm going to reach in from behind and pull up a bite of rope from the standing part. So there's a running loop. It's kind of like how the overhand is the basis for many knots. The running loop, it is also the basis for such knots as the trucker's hitch, which we may explore shortly, as well the daisy chain, which we'll move into now. It's a very simple knot, kind of elegant if you will, but a great way to store your cordage, especially if you have multiple strands and you don't want to end up with a big knot ball when you go to remove it. Quite easy, although it looks a little bit elaborate. And in a sense, I've already shown you how to more or less how to achieve that. So it's creating what's called a series of running loops. Let's look at the daisy chain. So I'm going to start off with, in this, it's a rare occurrence where we'll actually start off with a working end and then ignore it and utilize the standing part to achieve the rest of the knot. So essentially what I'm going to do is create a loop. I'm going to reach inside from behind the loop and grab part of the standing part. So here's my loop. I've laid it across. So if the strand's laying over top, I'm going to reach in from behind and I'm going to grab part of the standing part. I'm going to grab a bite. Now this is the step we would have done the other day with part of the slick trick for the moving into the fisherman's eye. At that point I had simply tied an extra overhand and boom, we had it. However, here what we're going to do instead, I'm going to snug that up a little bit and just kind of hang on to it there. Then I'm going to reach again in that new loop I just created. I'm going to reach inside and pull out another bite. Then again, reach in, pull out another bite. Again, working with the standing part. Reach in yet again, pull out another bite, starting to get shorter here. Reach in again and pull out another bite. Now I've pretty much almost run out of cordage, so I do not have enough to grab another bite. So I'm simply going to finish the knot by taking the now new working end, if you will, and pulling it through. So there you have it, folks, daisy chain. Unravel that by, boom. There you have it, the daisy chain. Kids love to undo the end of a daisy chain and run with it and have it unravel with young kids. So a little game you can play with that. So now, having completed the daisy chain, your cordage is ready for storage. Should the need arise for you to use it again, it'll be there ready to go, simply by undoing that one little finish. It's ready to be knotted. We're going to take the running loop for another useful tour, showcasing its use in the trucker's hitch. It's a very popular knot, great way to secure a load to the top of your vehicle, be it a canoe or a load of lumber. It does achieve, essentially using the running loop, you end up getting a pulley effect. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. And why not utilize the Lariat Loop? I come up and over, I'm going to tuck the trunk of the Lariat Loop this time through the two spans of wicker, split the X, and lay across the hole, pulling on the standing part. And it's a great way to showcase the strength of the Lariat Loop. I'm going to tie myself into the love seat, if you will. I will be the load, represent the load on the top of the vehicle, and we're going to showcase now the rest of the trucker's hitch. So it is based on one of these knots that has a basis in the running loop. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the start of what would be an overhand, but rather than take the working end through, I'm going to reach through and take a bite out of the standing part. I'm going to keep that, sort of keep some tension on that, just hold that nice and snug. Then I'm going to find my new working end, fish it through the two other strands on the opposite side of the love seat, bring it up, the working end up through the loop of the running loop, and achieve some tension on here. I don't want to break the love seat, but I do have considerable tension on here. You can feel that or see that snap. Now, a couple ways of finishing that. Classic way would be to hold it at the pinch where it comes through the working end. The working end had gone through that loop of your running loop. Hold that tension there and simply take one wrap around. This is called a half hitch. And I pull it up snug up against, and you could go ahead and do a second one. It's just simple. It's called a half hitch. It's one of the simplest knots out there. And with the additional remnant of working end, you could do a few more. But why not show you the Canoer's hitch at the same time? So I'm just going to back this off a little bit. So it's a little bit more work to get this undone. I'm going to show you the Canoer's hitch, which is very slick. So get the tension back mounted again. I still have my working end here. This time, as I wrap, rather than take the actual working end through, I am basically creating another running loop, which we call the Canoer's hitch. As Canoers love to use this one. I'm keeping the tension on that where it came through the original running loop and pulling the new one up against it. So the two are snugged, and you could probably see how I have a working end dangling here and a loop. And this is very tight, and I still have my pressure. The beauty of the Canoer's hitch is simply in the fact that I can grab the working end and just one-handed, we'll try 2 fingers. Pull it out, and the load is free. So that is the trucker's hitch. I think I'll put my rope away with the daisy chain. Thanks for tuning in to Not Fun Learning with Paul Mackinnon, aka Uncle Paulie.